It's Monday, the 10th of November, 2025. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's go with story number 1. Some of Australia's best-known companies, including blue chips, CSL and James Hardie, have been among the worst-performing stocks so far in 2025.
This year has been unusual in that blue chip or near blue chip companies have been dumped by investors, as have a bunch of high-profile names that were market favourites. Treasury Wine Estates, James Hardie, WiseTech Global, Telix Pharmaceuticals, Guzman y Gomez, Domino's and CSL have all fallen by somewhere between 35 and 50%. The worst performer in 2025 has been Plumbing Group, Reece, controlled by the Wilson family, not really a blue chip because there are so few shareholders, but it had been consistently a strong performer on the ASX. That was until March, when it outlined problems in its US business and much greater competition at home. Its share price has halved this year, worst of the lot. Keep running down the list of 30% plus losses in 2025. You can add Viva Energy, Flight Centre, Block, owner of Afterpay. These aren't tiny miners where a commodity price has gone against them, but rather cash flow positive businesses who have, for various reasons, been shunned by investors. Very unusual.
Is there a theme running across these companies, something that investors can actually draw on?
Not really, though at a stretch you could say operators in the US have had a hard time of it. That's certainly the case for Reece, Treasury Wine, James Hardie, Block, Telix, CSL. So much economic uncertainty in that market. Macquarie Group is another that's been buffeted by US policy settings, doesn't quite fit into the worst performing category. Still down 8% this year. Same deal with Aristocrat Leisure, down 9%. WiseTech Global's been more about corporate governance. Guzman and Domino's more about valuations and where growth is coming from. The implication for investors in all this is that some returns, including super fund returns, might not be quite as good as hoped.
Okay. Story number 2. Moderate Liberal MPs have warned that there will be front bench resignations if the party abandons a commitment to net zero emissions, while Conservatives insist the term must be dumped.
The Conservatives argue there needs to be a clear delineation between the Libs and the government on the issue. Now, the Liberal Party will hold a series of internal party meetings in Canberra this week to sort out the issue, though both sides appear to be becoming more and more entrenched. Opposition frontbencher Andrew Bragg yesterday said abandoning net zero terminology in the party's climate policy was ridiculous, given Australia's commitment under the Paris Agreement entered into under a coalition government. That, of course, is to achieve net zero emissions in the second half of the century. Bragg indicated he'd quit Susan Lee's shadow ministry if the party did not stay in the Paris Agreement.
Story number 3, Sean, it was the second busiest auction week of the year, and the preliminary clearance rate over the 7 days has come in at just under 72%, which suggests, really, that the housing market is in pretty good health.
More than 3,100 homes went to auction, more are expected this coming week. We are in peak spring selling season, Michael. The driver of the strong clearance rate result was Melbourne. It jumped from 66% a week ago to 73%. Sydney came in at 70%, actually lower than a week earlier. Brisbane and Adelaide both led the way, 78%, ACT 64%. Prices generally are holding up, particularly for cheaper and mid-range homes.
Story number 4, around 500,000 Australians are taking weight loss drugs every month, and almost 50% of users are actually buying them privately for up to $600 per month.
I find this quite amazing. A study by the University of New South Wales, as reported in the Fin Review, shows the surge in the usage of GLP-1 drugs, many of which have been pushed by influencers and celebrities. Sales of the medicines marketed under the brand names Ozempic and Mounjaro surged in the 5 years to April 2025. In that month, more than 6 million units or monthly jabs were sold in Australia, the data shows. The study measured sales and pharmaceutical benefits scheme data. Some in the medical profession fear that Australians taking the drugs don't really have a medical need, and despite uncertainty around their long-term side effects.
Last one, story number 5. Qantas, Sean, is set to roll out a new class of flying for domestic travel. You've already got economy, you've already got premium economy. Now in between those two, economy plus.
I like it. It's targeted at the shrinking number of corporate flyers, particularly those attracted to Virgin's Economy X products. The carrier's domestic loads have been hit by job losses at big corporates outside of mining, that is, like the banks, for example, have announced cost-cutting measures. Also, COVID changed work patterns forever, including the use of teleconferencing. Qantas's response is to create this new class with up to 40% more legroom, priority boarding, and access to overhead baggage space. The announcement came as Qantas said it expects domestic revenue to rise, though not as much as previously forecast. Leisure, small business, and resource demand remain strong. International revenue looks solid, though the delay in A380s arriving will hurt revenue somewhat. Helping will be the upcoming Ashes Test cricket series. Investors weren't impressed on Friday. Qantas' share price tumbled 7%.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Monday, the 10th of November, 2025. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. Or head along to fearandgreed.com.au and sign up for our free daily newsletter. Honestly, you think the Fast 5 is fast? The newsletter, you can get across the day's news in just 3 minutes. It's a great cheat sheet for the day. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.